Alright guys, so since Time Stranger released, we've went over 10 tips and tricks you should know, 10 more tips and tricks you should know, 10 more tips and tricks you should know, and today we're going to be going over 10 advanced tips and tricks that you should know. All of the previous videos are linked in the description. The tips I'm going to be going over today are for people who are in the late or end game. I did sneak a little bit in there that'll be useful to everyone, but for the most part, you might get a little bit lost if you haven't played through the game already or are new to Digimon Story Time Stranger, so check those videos out first. Also, spoiler warning, because we are going to be talking about like the final boss and stuff like that, so don't come back to me and get mad if you get spoiled. All that being said, make sure to sit back, relax, subscribe for more Digimon and monster taming content, and let's dive in. Okay, so I want to start things off with a tip that I see a lot of people getting confused about, and that has to do with maximum stats in Digimon Story Time Stranger. So the maximum stat for a Digimon is 9,999. It doesn't matter if you get there via cumulative stats or if you're using the Digifarm. Once your stat hits 9999, it cannot go any higher. Equipment attachments that increase the stat itself, further Digifarm training, and increasing cumulative stats through loading will not change the stats whatsoever. That being said, the same cannot be said about stat modifications in battle, whether they be through buffs or personality skills. If you have a move that buffs your stats, then it will increase the stat in question above the 9,999 threshold. I get a lot of questions from people asking why I would use buffs on my attack, for example, if my attack's already at 9999, and this is why. Temporary buffs do still work. Speaking of equipment attachments, this is actually something that I mentioned in a previous video. However, if you haven't seen that, the speed equipment attachments have a sort of interesting effect where even if your speed is at the max, if you attach one of these to your Digimon, it will actually put it in front of all other Digimon in your party in terms of turn order. This can be useful as it'll let you determine which Digimon goes first in order to set up a particular combo. We mentioned the Digifarm a minute ago, and I actually have to make a correction to some of my previous videos where I stated that Digifarm stats are not permanent. While this is true, if you simply raise something to 9999 and then de-digivolve it, it will not reach 9999 again instantly or even necessarily by leveling it up. However, just like any other time when you de-digivolve a Digimon, you do actually pass over a portion of these farm stats as cumulative or bonus stats. While I recommend that you save a lot of your Digifarm training for either personality shifting or topping off stats once you've already reached max level, this is a significant piece of information to know. I've made some videos talking about an infinite loop where you can take a Digimon straight up to its Mega State, then de-digivolve it into a Fusion Digimon, then de-digivolve it again in order to basically get a free extra Digimon, then repeat the process in, as stated, an infinite loop. There are multiple Digimon that this can be done for, but for maximum XP and timeliness, some of you pointed out that the best is to use a Zealous Stingmon and digivolve it up to Grand Kawagamon and then down into Dino Beamon and then Stingmon again. And I've made this mistake in the past too, but loading is actually based on the talent of your Digimon, not the bond and not the stage necessarily. So if we look at Imperial Dramon here, he's level 99, he's a Mega Plus Digimon. If I were to load him into Core Dramon, I'd go up to level 54 with 25,926 XP to the next level. Okay, he's got 100% bond and 100% talent. This Craniamon plus and Bearmon has no bond but 100% talent. If I load him, same exact thing. So these are both Mega Pluses, but Angemon here is at 100 talent as well, and if we look at the XP we're going to get, it's exactly the same. So it does seem that talent is going to play more into the amount of XP you're going to get than anything else. That being said, stage does seem to play a role up to a point, because if we look at Deputymon here, who is a champion Digimon with a talent of 26, he's going to bring me to level 14, while these rookies with a talent of 30 are going to bring me to 12. So it seems that there's a certain threshold where the stage of the Digimon stops mattering, so keep that in mind when loading. You don't necessarily have to digivolve everything. I did the same thing with a bunch of Magnamons versus Ankylomons with the infinite XP loop that I talked about in a previous video, and it was the exact same experience yield. Speaking of exploiting the game, this is another thing I've talked about in my videos, but I did forget to mention that this is a really good way to farm Platinum Numamon and Immortal Eggs. Basically, in battle, there's a small chance that certain Digimon can randomly join the fight, and this can be quite annoying if you're just trying to get something specific. That being said, if you watched my video on how to make an infinite XP farming loop, you'll know that this particular area in the Fire Cosmic will net infinite battles if you turn auto battling on and leave the game. Over the course of several hours, you'll notice that you've gained Immortal Eggs and Platinum Numemon scan percentage as well. Give it a shot if you're trying to farm these items, because they're really annoying if you're just actively looking for them. Okay, I'm working on a guide for a Mega Plus team, but here's a little teaser. Upoming is an absolute boss breaker with its special skill, which does 20% of a Digimon's remaining HP in damage flat. This is useful for certain bosses that have HP replenishment, and especially useful for the final boss, who basically will debuff the hell out of your team, has a bunch of phases, and will literally let you smash through a bunch of the fight. Trust me when I say this is something you're going to want to have on your Mega Plus team. Speaking of the final fight in the game, there is a trophy for beating the game on Mega Plus difficulty, and while you can only access this difficulty by playing through New Game Plus, you don't actually have to beat the whole game in Mega Plus, just the final boss. You can literally play New Game Plus mode in the story difficulty, and then right before the final boss, shift it up to Mega Plus, and then defeat him, which will earn the trophy. I am working on a full achievement/trophy video, and I'm going to be elaborating further, but yeah, unless this gets patched out, changing difficulties will not screw you over. This is another question I get from a lot of you guys, and I'm not sure if it's technically an advanced tip, but I feel like it belongs here, especially since we're talking about maximum stats and stuff like that. But no, the stage of a Digimon doesn't really matter as long as that Digimon has good special moves. Since all stats max out at 9999 and any Digimon can learn any attachment skill, the base stats of a Digimon aren't as important as you'd think in the endgame. There are Digimon that are really good and are not Mega or Mega Plus. One example of this is Agiomon, who could act as a really good evasive support with a track deco stacked with some evasion equipment. The number one thing you should be looking for to determine whether or not a Digimon is good in the absolute endgame, when all stats are maxed out, is the special moves it has and if its defensive typing sort of matches your team, not necessarily its stage. Another exploit in the game that I touched on in a recent video, but for those that haven't seen it, is the fact that Combo Magic, which is a personality skill, actually has a weird quirk when it comes to the overhealing effect of Great Embrace. If a Digimon is healed beyond 100% HP, for some reason the Combo Magic ability, which is supposed to allow Digimon to attack with magic skills twice in a row if their health is low, and this is based on a chance, actually gets flipped on its head and will be activated every single time. As you can imagine, this does get pretty broken, and I think there's a good chance that it might end up getting patched out. Finally, number 10, another big question: who is the fastest Digi-Ride Digimon? Maybe not the most advanced tip, but you're gonna have to be towards the end game to get this guy, because yes, I do believe it is Beelzemon. The dude's got a motorcycle, so what do you expect? I did run some tests with some of the faster Digi-Rides, and Beelzemon and his Mega Plus form seemed to outperform every single time. I was really surprised when I saw people wondering if different mounts had different speeds. Absolutely they do. There are some really slow ones and some really fast ones. So if you want to get a Beelzemon, check out my guide going over the Demon Lord evolution trees. But yeah, guys, those were another 10 tips and tricks that you should definitely know in Digimon Story Time Stranger, especially if you're planning on going through to the Mega Plus difficulty or just want to, I don't know, be crazy at the game, because why not? We've got a total of 40 so far. I think I've said this multiple times that there's a chance I might do another 10. I'm not exactly sure. I think I've gone through a lot of tips and I've recycled some of them from videos that I've already posted, but I think this is a nice, like, clean and concise way to get them all out and then let people decide if they want to expand on that knowledge by checking out the other videos linked below. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Special thanks to our supporters, especially Candy Marunci, Tragsoft, Valorware, Nemo, and Wrathful Beast, and we'll see you next time. Peace.